Alright, so I think it's up and running. So I guess we can start talking a little bit about what we're going to do here. With the sale that seems to be continuing on Sunday, I decided after watching a video that it might be fun to learn how to fly a Swedish plane. And so I purchased the AJS-37 Viggen. And so I've set up myself like a really simple flight, like probably everyone's already done millions of times, with targets on the X here. And I've set up my plane with a few Mavericks on it. I've got four, the Swedish, they call them the Rb-75. I took the B version. And so we're going to try to go use the Mavericks against some parked airplanes, some tanks, and other things that are available there. And so we'll take off from Coolhand101. I'll probably fly north a little bit to head towards the mountains here, and then fly south to my first waypoint, which is where the target is. And then once I've fired my 4 Mavericks, if I'm able to, I'll go to the second waypoint, which is to line myself up with the runway to perform a nice landing. So hopefully we can do all that. So in the last 2-3 weeks, I've been getting used to my new HOTAS setup. I've got my WinWing throttle and stick that work very well, along with my MFG crosswind rudders. So this is always a nice opportunity to practice using the rudders when I'm on the ground like this. See that my ground crew has prepared things for me. So I unfortunately can't read the Swedish stuff, but starting to recognize what does what. Those buttons here will allow me to switch waypoints. This stick to the left, it's like a stick that's supposed to control the radar, but in this case it'll control my Mavericks. This will allow me to change my weapon mode. This is my thrust reverser. When I'm going to land, I'm going to use that. It lets you brake on a dime. And this is like the radar scope with what looks like a compass around it. And you can see that yellow thing there that's pointing behind me. That's because it's pointing to my waypoint 1, which is where that X is at Coolhand101. And so I'll be heading for that for my targets. And this little green thing here is like my weapon scope that I will use to aim the Maverick. And we've got a HUD that is different from other planes I've flown, but it's the Swedish take on it, I guess. And in here I have like a weapon selector that I will have to switch to Rb-75 there, since this is the weapon I will be using. I've got some sidewinders, mostly for decoration, because we won't be doing any air-to-air here. So let's taxi and go see what we can do.
Springfield 7-1. Coolhand101, clear to taxi to runway 7.
So I'm cleared to taxi. It's probably going to tell me that I can't take off, and then he's going to change his mind and tell me that I can take off. I wanted to change the light conditions to make it a nice different one, but I guess I forgot that, so we'll just go with the conditions we have right now, which is the usual early morning when you create a mission. Could have made it a bit less boring by making it either sunrise or sunset with some nice lighting on the clouds, but right now we're more interested in will be able to shoot those Maverick missiles. One of the things I noticed from the cockpit of the Viggen, I'm just going to brake here prior to entering the runway. if you look like this on each side, you can't see much of the weaponry that you have on your wings. So you really have to trust what you have in terms of instruments and selectors to know what's what and how it's gonna work. It does, I think, automatically select the different Mavericks. I think starting from the outside stations towards the inner stations as you fire them, so you don't have to choose which pylon you're shooting from.
Unable to clear for takeoff.
And so as I said, they're unable to clear me for takeoff.
71. Cobra ready. You are cleared for takeoff when ready.
And now they've changed their mind.
At QSE 29.86.
So I'm gonna give it some military power. Let go of the brakes, go full afterburner. Rudders are pretty sensitive on this thing, so I'll try not to use them too much. And we're gonna get our gears up. Let's see what that baby looks like. This is my plane right there. Shows this metallic skin. Looks nice in the sun, I guess. So as I said, I'm gonna head north there. Pick up a little bit of speed. You can see the runway in that area here. And my targets are gonna be under the dark cloud there. So that's where we're gonna be headed. And as you can see here on the compass, the yellow thing now is pointing behind me there, so sort of confirms that. So I'm gonna give myself a little bit of altitude. I've set up my HOTAS keys so that I can get my my autopilot modes. So let me just show you here. You have attitude hold and altitude hold. So when firing the Mavericks, they can be both useful. If you want to fly straight and level, you use the altitude hold. But if you want to have a slight dive to maybe make it easier to target, you can use attitude hold. And so let's see what we can do here. So now we're heading towards the waypoint. As you can see in the HUD, it lines up to those lines. And then I'm going to switch to this ANF mode, and I'm going to select my Mavericks. Now I think I have to do a series of keys that I sometimes get confused with. If I do that, does it turn on the missile? If I play with that stick, does it help? Try that. That's the Sidewinders. That should be the Mavericks. I don't know, like in certain planes you need a certain amount of time for it to warm up, and I haven't been flying for very long, so you see now I have the and that screen here, now I have the bore sight of the missile, so it would appear it's now ready. Takes a little while. Those older electronics, they need to warm up a bit. So we're gonna do a little bit of sightseeing. I'm gonna turn around. We're gonna go see what we can do about hitting some targets. Maybe as I fly like this, I'll just put the autopilot and show you some of the ground targets I have. I have these tanks in the center. I have a few transport planes with vehicles around and some MiG-23s like this. I put a few trucks as well. But yeah, I'm probably gonna go for those bigger transports first because they're gonna be easier to aim the Mavericks on. So I'm gonna remove my autopilot modes, turn around. Give it a little bit of gas. I really like the look of the afterburner. Look at this. It looks really good on the outside view. Looks good. Alright, so let's try to put this there. See what we can do now with our scope. I have to hit the T1, then I can move the camera. Is that the airfield? It's kind of hard to see at the distance. There we go. That looks like the X right there. So I'll start with that far one. There we go. Got a lock. Missile fired. I'm gonna see if I can get another one off. Not super confident I will be, so I think what I'll do is I'll just remove the autopilot, fly away, and maybe hit F6 just to see this. Just make sure that I don't crash into anything there, and then maybe look at this. That should be the plane that will blow up. There we go. We're gonna be able to see, yeah, we can see like a little fire there. If I zoom in, yeah, there you go. That's Cobleti, the airfield where I took off from, so I'm going to do like earlier. I'm going to fly north, and then we'll set up for our next run. I'm going to bore sight the missile again so that it's easier to target. Yeah, we can see the little fire there. And of course, if I let go of the stick, you'll see that it wants to turn right, probably because there's a missile, yeah, on that side and not on the other side. So that's what I was saying. Older planes like this, you have to trim them. There we go. We're going to trim those down. And that's pretty cool. We could do the lazy method of altitude hold like this. And we can enjoy a little bit of outside view. You can see the motor produces quite a bit of smoke. Could do something like this to show, you see the line of black smoke there. And I guess we're gonna be ready for our next pass. So we've got our little dot there. There we go. T1, move the bore sight down. That looks like the airfield there. We can see the first fire I set. I'm gonna try to lock this guy up here. too far yet to... Okay, there we go. Now it's locked. So we fire our next missile. See if we can get another one off. Maybe at the center there. I guess that didn't work. No. Yeah, it's very tough to get more than one off in one pass. No, it's just I can't find them anymore because I'm on top of them. There we go. Get the second explosion there. Just because we can. Now I have to retrim towards the right a little bit. I'll try for 2 tanks on this pass. I don't know if I can do 2 on one pass. We'll see. So I'll take like that direction and try to head towards the center of the airfield. I'll have the smoke to guide me a little bit on the site. So let's give it a bit of energy there. This we should be good. And this like that. So this for the Maverick, go down. That's the center of the runway. Okay, it's locked. Missile away. Let's try to see if I can get a second one. Yeah, got it. Let's watch that. Hopefully we'll be able to see the 2 explosions. Boom, boom. Alright. Well, as you can see, I'm out of missiles and I've got 4 targets with 4 missiles. So that's kind of nice. Alright. Get the nice shiny thing there. So this is the waypoint of the airfield, but if I click on B2, I think it's gonna be pointing towards the sea there where I have my final waypoint. So now I'm gonna remove my autopilots and we're gonna fly it at that direction. I'm gonna set myself back to nav mode. Still a bit of a noob with all these different modes and writing in Swedish. Gonna trim it a little bit. There we go. So, you know, once it's trimmed like that, you can use the autopilot, but do you really need to? The same button that locks changes the waypoints. Okay, I don't really have to use all those nav modes anyways. I'm just gonna go visually land the plane. We're heading over there. So I've mapped my air brakes, and you'll see they're not very big. It's those little things there behind. There are a few like on top as well there. So if I really want to lose some speed, you just do a few maneuvers like that. And when you hear those beep 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 beep, you know, like you're getting a little bit slower. Plane's giving you a little bit of a warning. And then when you get to those lower speed, it wants you to get the gear down, so that's exactly what we're gonna do. Get this huge landing gear. Now we're gonna look in the HUD towards the airfield. We're gonna give it a little bit of power. At this point, I'm gonna put my feet on the rudders, but as I was saying earlier, if you play with the rudder like that, it wants to go all over the place, so you gotta do like very minor corrections. And now just playing with the rudder has made me lose an enormous amount of speed. I have to give it a lot of gas. I'm gonna give it a bit of afterburner to get back up. There we go. So keep it steady. Look at my speed, and I don't know quite which unit, but it could be kilometers per hour. I know the Swedes have the Swedish miles, which is like thousands of kilometers. It's a system I'm not sure I understand. Oh yes, and I will pull this so that when my nose wheel touches down, I'll be able to engage the thrust reversers. There we go. Make it a nice touchdown. And now I can give it gas. You can see that it slows down very quickly with those thrust reversers. And then you reduce the throttle, pull that back in, and then you can taxi normally. Use my toe brakes there. Yes, I will taxi to parking area. This beautiful silver jet. So that was really the goal I had set myself tonight, was to set up my controls and fire some Mavericks. I was even successful with my firing of Mavericks on actual targets, so that's pretty good. Those were fairly old versions of the Mavericks. I'm surprised because this version of the plane, I think, entered the service in the 90s, and they were using Maverick A's and B's. You can see I had put a few other Viggens there at the far end with a C-130, but I'm just gonna go park right here in the close parking area there. So let's brake, turn. It's funny, when you turn the nose wheel, you can see the light switches with the nose wheel. It lights up the grass in different areas depending on where my pedals are pointing. I'm guessing if we look, yeah, you'll see that what I was talking about. When you turn the wheels, the light turns with it. It's because it's on the axis that pivots. And we'll just brake there. There you go. Looks like a decent parking. And because I don't know the plane just yet, I'll just use the lazy turn off. Auto stop sequence. I think I have a key for my parking brake, so I can let go of my toe brakes on my rudders. And there you have it. Auto stop complete. Successful flight. Let's go check our targets. So we've got the 2 tanks there that we hit on the 1 pass 2 missiles, and the planes here at each side of the runway. Those Antonovs are no more, along with their support vehicles and infantry. I'll also put some MiG-23s like this here. A few soldiers next to them. But that's it, so I hope you enjoyed my familiarization flight with the Viggen, trying to shoot some Mavericks.